Hi, friends. So this is the broadcast that we announced 20 minutes ago. My special surprise guest that I mentioned is my beautiful wife, Kathy. And we're going to talk to you about why dating is fun for people at middle age. Now, I think a lot of people, when they talk about dating at middle age, there's a lot of focus on the disappointment. Because you got there either by divorce or death of a loved one, and there's a lot of pain involved in being single. Even people that have never married, many of them wanted to, and there's pain involved in that. So there's a lot, a lot of us didn't like dating in our 20s, and when we were married, kind of breathed a sigh of relief. And so, to find yourself single in your middle years often is a source of disappointment. And I addressed some of that last week in the broadcast I did by myself, but I wanted to invite Kathy on so we could talk together about what's fun about it. Are there things to look forward to if you are dating in your middle years? Kathy, do you have anything that comes to mind on?
I had a lot of fun.
She probably had too much fun. She had
probably.
Men flocking. A couple of ideas that I had. One was it's a source of adult company. Oftentimes, if we're single parents, which we both were, at the times we have our kids, we're very consumed with taking care of our kids, and going on a date with an interesting person is a chance for some adult company. That's one thing.
Oh, for sure. Especially if you don't have a kind of career where you get to converse with a lot of adults. If you're a teacher, or with COVID, if you're working at home, I don't know what dating is like during COVID. I actually would be interested to know what that's like. Who is worth risking your life for?
I know there's a lot of people going on Zoom dates, which I can relate to because I'm doing Zoom meetings for business purposes. I've had a couple of them this week. But I know that's a solution for some people. And then they kind of decide if they really like somebody, okay, I'll meet that person and run the risk rather than...
Yeah, I can only imagine being on a date with a mask on.
Here's my picture on my phone. This is what I look like underneath this. Another thought I had was adventure. Now, Kathy and I had a unique and rare kind of privilege shortly before we got married. I mean, just like a month before we went to Africa. I didn't do that kind of adventures with anybody else, really.
Actually, it was a test for marriage. We decided if we could get along for that long together, that maybe we should get married, and
yeah, I mean,
we did. And
we actually had that in mind and talked about it, that if we can be together 24/7 for 2 weeks in a foreign country, we might be all right. And it was honestly one of the greatest times of my life. Now, I see Aubrey on there. Don't want to embarrass you, but we went on a weekend date, which Kathy actually recommended me for. Aubrey was careful about making sure she checked out the guys she went out with. And now she's happily married to a great guy, and I'm happy for her about that. But adventures were part of it. I mean, I took girls hiking. We did all kinds of things for fun, and I found that part of dating to be enjoyable. Anything you have to say about that, other than being abandoned on a mountain one time?
oh yeah, that was bad. But I don't know, it's a story. So
Yeah.
I think most of my dates were good experiences, and some were romantic and some were close play. And I really enjoyed all of it. I like being very full. It was an interesting story, and it was good for me to get to know lots of different kinds of people.
Yeah, and I think meeting interesting people is another thing on my list as well. That I met so many terrific people, and just enjoyed those associations. And some of them, I still feel like a friend to, and some of them are friends to both Kathy and I, people we used to date.
Yeah, that's actually a cool thing now about being married, is being able to be friends with each other's friends. And because we both met a lot of really interesting people when we dated and when we were single for many years, we have been able to make more friends by being friends with each other's friends.
Yeah, so that was another fun thing about dating at middle age. Another thing on my list is you kind of have, I mentioned the painful events that sometimes brought us to this point. And a good way to look at it, I think, is we may have had a painful event like a divorce or a death of a spouse, or even the person who never got married and feels in pain about that. But dating at middle age and making a kind of a new decision to date, that can be like a fresh start or a new beginning, and you can kind of feel like, you have a chance to do that part of your life again. I mean, you can't ever go back, but
And you can meet like-minded people who are in the same boat that, have this new lease on life and have some pretty in-depth perspective because of their experiences.
Right. I mean, I experienced that with a number of people, and those are the people I gravitated to dating. I mean, some of you have heard that Kathy and I met on Facebook in a MidSingles group, and I don't remember which one, that we were both a member of several, but the thing that I noticed about her is that she made insightful and positive comments. She wasn't a man-hater. She wasn't always bashing her ex or anything like that, and I appreciated that about her. I still do.
And when he requested my friendship, I accepted because I'd noticed that he'd made positive comments, and so that was something we had mutually noticed. And
yeah.
And then we've discovered recently that when he sent me some generic messages, I never replied. It wasn't until he got interesting that I bothered replying.
Yeah, there were 2 generic messages. Hey, Kathy, how are you? And I think the third one was finally happy 29th birthday or something. And she said, that would be 37th. And I made the mistake after we were married of putting a 29 candle on her cake.
When I was turning 40, I wanted a 4 and a 0 because that was my age. I own it. So I got a 4-1 this year, and that's in a few days. So.
That's right. So yeah, those are a few things. Another thing I think is that there is growth in getting out of your comfort zone, and let's face it. Hi, Lisa. There is growth in getting out of your comfort zone, and dating. Nothing will do that for you like dating. I mean, you take a lot of emotional risks when you're a mid-single out there dating, especially if you experienced abandonment or rejection or whatever.
I think that's more so when you've dated someone for a while. I mean, I think, initial dates, the risk really is am I feeling this, couple hours is a good, use of my time? And that's not a huge risk. I
mean, there are, no one likes to be turned down for a date, so there is a risk in that.
Oh, that's true.
It's a small risk compared to risking your heart when you really care for someone. And Kathy and I had all kinds of ups and downs. We dated for a good chunk of 2016, and then we didn't date 2017, but we stayed friends.
Hey, 11 people were watching.
12?
Well, it was 11, though.
Okay.
11's our number.
Yep, we were married May 11th. And in fact, Aubrey's still watching, so I will say she is one of the people who told me, you're still in love with Kathy, and I'm not going to date you anymore because really, you need to pursue that, and I can't date somebody who's in love with somebody else. And she was right.
And I gave her a glowing recommendation because Jeff's a great guy.
And then she decided to take me back from her anyway. So anyway.
Well, no, I didn't do that. That was not my intention.
Anyway, we we had our ups and downs dating in our middle years, but ultimately, we decided it was a fit. And I guess the most fun thing about dating in your middle years is not that you want to focus unduly on it, but you could find a great companion. Like I see Dave on there. He and Lori, they dated in high school and found each other again years later, partly through my efforts.
Jeff loves playing matchmaker.
Aubrey is married to a great guy. Lisa's dating a really good guy. That's in her profile picture with her. I see you up there. So yeah, you have an opportunity to make a special relationship and one that could be lasting. And my efforts in dating, even though they weren't always easy, led to the greatest thing in my life, which is this woman sitting next to me. So, you have any other thoughts about what's fun about dating? Or
I like how I got to learn more about myself, what I like, what I don't like, what I enjoy doing with people, and I think it's a good opportunity to get to know yourself better too.
Yeah, I remember Kathy sent me a message once where I talked about someone I had formerly dated before her, and that person had told me why ultimately she broke up with me. And Kathy referred to this girl and herself as mirrors. Mm-hmm. You've been given two mirrors. And I thought that was kind of profound. That the way that I reacted in relationships and the fears that I had about certain things gave me a little window on how I show up in the world and how I show up in relationships, and it was, it's something to grow from.
I was thinking that as far as, like, when you get married, I actually believe in dating in marriage. Not other people, but each other, obviously. And
we do.
I think the good thing about dating when you're single is that you learn skills that can move into marriage if you're intentional about moving them into the primary relationship that you decide to pursue. All the niceties, and making the plan to do things. And, if you're in that mode of thinking, you can continue doing that when you get married, which strengthens your relationship and is more fulfilling than, just being roommates and discussing, bills and kids and everything that comes with life.
Yeah, I think Kathy and I connected over personal development during our dating and
11
even
again.
Yes.
I like that number.
So yeah, we connected over personal development, dating, and as friends in our middle years, and that's still part of our life.
Should we tell them why we like 11?
Yeah, tell them.
Because 1 plus 1 is actually a lot more than 2. It's 11. Mm-hmm. So it's a synergistic effect of the relationship is that we're worth more together than the sum of each of us apart. Yeah,
we hope that 1 and 1 with us is 11, not 2. And so it's a little symbol that reminds us. And I think, we've sometimes also compared ourselves, the Book of Mormon example. You've got the river of Laman running through the valley of Lemuel. And you can guess if you know us, I'm the river of Laman, she's the valley of Lemuel, but I'm the sail, she's the anchor. The valley guides the river, but the river shapes the valley. They need each other. And we have different ways of approaching the world, but if we can appreciate that and not try to remake the other one into ourselves, then we've got more to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So
I say that we end this video and go have our date.
Okay. Well, thanks to all of you who tuned in and any of you who will tune in while this is posted. It's been fun talking with you. And for any who watch this who are middle-aged and thinking about jumping in to dating, I promise you, everybody else has been just as nervous as you. I was. It's kind of like jumping off the high dive.
I do remember like that first date post like long-term marriage, divorce. You know, after divorce, like I was completely overwhelmed. Actually, luckily, it ended up being with a friend, so it was kind of like a practice run.
Yeah.
But I was all sorts of nervous, and I did all sorts of things to prepare for it. And you know, before I knew it, I was just, you know, making dates and going and not thinking too much about it. I mean, I did try to be safe. I mean, that's an important part of dating. Obviously, people you don't know, but you know, in public places, it's relatively comfortable, and yeah, luckily COVID was not happening during that time.
That first date that I went on post-divorce, I was so nervous. I mean, I hadn't been on a date with anyone but my former wife for 15 years,
Yeah, but
more than
not
that.
easier after that, right?
It did. I mean, but it was exciting too. I mean, I dressed up in a blue blazer and a button-down shirt, and I wore cologne, and I tried to make sure everything was just right, you know. And
that effort can actually be fun too. I mean,
and she was actually a really nice person. We're still friends. That's all we ever ended up being, but we're still friends, and I value it a lot, that friendship. And so, yeah, I mean, I kind of compare it sometimes to the high dive. You know, if you stand there looking off the edge, you're going to psych yourself out. What you got to do is just jump in. Close your eyes, take a run off the edge of that board. Like Benjamin Mee says, you know, in that movie, We Bought a Zoo, 20 seconds of insane courage. You can be brave for 20 seconds and go ask that person for a date.
and that's a good example. And for us girls, as we know, when we're wet and like, you know, we're already in, so might as well just keep going with it and have fun in the pool, you know, instead of staying out. So,
Yeah. So no pressure to date, but hey, if you're inclined, if you really feel like you'd like to meet some people, we encourage it. We think it ends up well. And
yeah,
so
and
thanks
it's a fun
for tuning
journey.
in.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk again soon. Thanks.
Yeah.